Thank you very much. I apologize. I have to speak in English because I don't speak Spanish. But I will try to speak slowly enough. And it's also a foreign language for me, so we are at the same level, in fact. So I want to speak mainly about the cost of the corrosion, and I want to introduce you just a few ideas about what is the corrosion. So the cost of the corrosion is given there in a percentage of the GNP. As you can see, this percentage is very high. It's 3.5% for USA or UK. Is a little bit less, is more than 2% for France or for Germany. An example is given at the bottom of the slide for the Italy. For the Italy, the GNP is about 10 to 12 euro per year. So the cost of the corrosion for Italy is 3 times 10 to 10 euro per year. It means it's about 500 euros per person. It's really a huge amount, and this is true for each developed country, and the more the country is developed, more the cost of the corrosion is important. Here you have the cost of the corrosion according to the main reason of this cost. The study, the first, sorry, this slide is in French. The slide is French, is coming from Total. Total is a large oil and gas company in France. And the study, the first point, is only 2% of the total cost. Yeah. The construction here is what we have to pay more. For example, if you plan to construct, to build a device, and if the mechanical reason, you get a pipe, for example, in carbon steel. Due to the corrosion, you have to use a pipe in stainless steel. The cost is much higher, and this difference of cost between carbon steel and stainless steel appear in this part. So this is what you have to do at the beginning when you build a new product, a new device. The third one is what we call the exploitation, is the price that we have to pay every day in order to have the device working. So it could be, for example, on a boat. You know, it's generally necessary to paint the boat every time, because when you have finished one part of the boat, it's necessary to start to paint it on the other part if you want to protect it always. So this is a part of the exploitation, for example, for a boat. And the other cost, this is relatively large, is when you have a big trouble and you have to stop the production, you have to stop the device because you have, for example, an hole appearing somewhere and you have to change some piece of your device. Of course, always we try to decrease on the best. This one must be 0, but it's very difficult and very expensive. So, the first part corresponding to the construction is what we call CAPEX, the capital expenditure. This one can be separated in different parts. One part could be the coatings that we plan to do at the first time during when you build the device. The cathodic protection, this is not the cost of the cathodic protection in exploitation, it's the cost of the cathodic protection when you build the, so you have all the connection, all the the plan of the cathodic protection. This is the systems of controls, generally relatively small. This is an important factor is when you increase the size of the part of your device because you plan the corrosion. For example, you have a pipe and you know that the corrosion is 1 millimeter per year. If you want to keep your pipe during 10 years, you have to have some thickness more than if you have no corrosion. And at the end, you need to have yet some thickness in order to have the pipe works for what you want. So this cost could be important. And this is the equipment to prevent the corrosion. It's just some difference when it is not cathodic protection. It could be a part of the cathodic protection. And this is what I called material without corrosion. And this is the cost if you use for some part some materials where you are sure to have no corrosion. Generally, it's very expensive. For example, if you use titanium, you have generally no problem with titanium. But if you know the cost of the titanium, only Soviet Union built some submarine in titanium 20 years ago, but it was not for economical reasons. And for economical reasons, it's nonsense. So the OpEx is the operational expenditure. So it's the money that you have to spend when the device is built and in order to keep it in the good way. So you have to plan the way to use it. This costs a lot because it's a lot of control that you have to do. Inside you have some modification that you have to do, but without stop of the device, how it's used. You have some services corresponding to, for example, if you have to paint again a second time. You have also to, in this one, to replace, for example, the anodes and the cathodic protection. So the cathodic protection is planned in when you build it, but you have to change the anode each 1 year or so, it's depending of the device, and this is inside. And you have also the chemical treatment. This is the chemical treatment generally when you have to add in your device, for example, some inhibitors. You add some chemical in your systems in order to protect your systems against corrosion. And in this cost, you have the big trouble when you have to stop the production in order to repair it. And this is, it could be important. So this is depending, of course, of what industry is concerned. For example, in the gas industry, it's impossible to have corrosion in some part because in this case it's a big explosion and you can't have it. So it is necessary to increase all other parts in order to have a protection large enough in order to be sure to have no big trouble. So this is another way to present it. What is corresponding to my second slide is the exploitation is during the function during the process of your industry. This is the construction. This is the big trouble in average. And this is the study. As you can see, the study is small, 2%, And if you want, and each time industrial people want to save money, this one appears immediately. But if you decrease 2%, you save just a little bit of money. And if you decrease this one, you have no way to decrease the other one. And a small amount here in study can have a large impact on the construction or in the exploitation. So this is just the different for the total cost. So the different cost for the corrosion. The coatings and the paintings is the more expensive generally. The way to suppress generally the corrosion product could be, this is for the gas and oil industry, an important point too. An important point that we have to take into account is we have to look and this is the control of all the apparatus, that to be sure that we have no corrosion. For example, in pipes we have robots with camera in order to have an inspection inside to be sure that we have no corrosion. The cost is important. The chemical treatment, so generally inhibitors. So the materials without corrosion, this is very expensive, so it's reduced at the maximum. And so this is different things, others. And this is the larger size in order to take into account the corrosion. This point is not very important, essentially because and I will show you in a few minutes, the corrosion is sometimes a generalized corrosion. So if you have a piece of metals, the corrosion is everywhere the same. So in this case, you can calculate easily how the thickness that you lost, and you increase the thickness, and it works during a time long enough. But generally, the corrosion, in a lot of times, and it's the more difficult, the corrosion is localized. So you have on your plane of metals a small amount of corrosion, but in few points you have big corrosion. And in this case, if the corrosion is too large, it could be 1 centimeter per year. In this case, you have no way to increase the thickness. You have to find another way.